Hi guys, Dark Humility here. You can catch me streaming 7 days a week on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/darkhumility. Today, just like with the Season 2 Hardcore Bone Necro, we're going to do a Season 2 Hardcore Hammerdin build. This is my Hammerdin. He's a beast, but he only has level 39 skills, 39 with bow of course. So he could be stronger, just like the Bone Necro could have. So yeah, overall, he's looking pretty solid. He's looking pretty sharp. We're going to start just like the Bone Necro is showing off and demoing the areas that he's strong with. And then we're going to talk about his stats, skills, attributes, his gear, and things like that, and maybe what could be improved, and how he stacks up against other magic builds. As I do his first good area, which is the pit. Pit's a very strong area just for him, just like with the Bone Necro. He is a magic damage type character, just like the Bone Necro, which means he's going to be very strong at most areas. Magic damage has the least problems doing areas in the game just in general. All kinds of areas, including maps. We'll also demo his strongest maps, though. I only demoed the 2 strongest maps on the Bone Necro, even though I also went over his ranked tiers on him. But I also put the maps ranked for the Hammerdin in order as well. There are some differences, even though he's the same damage type. There are differences. Oh, that was nasty. Make sure you got your mercenary to protect you right there. Anyways, some people might ask, why play a Hammerdin? Many of the same reasons you'd play a Bone Necro, really. Immunities aren't much of an issue. You have a lot of mobility with charge, especially early on, since teleport's nerfed in Project Diablo 2. Charge is very amazing for mobility. You also have Joust. And it's also not an insanely expensive build to get started. The pit's a good area to start with because it doesn't really require crazy gear. I could do this just as effectively with probably 10 to 15 less skills, so pit's pretty nice to start out with. You can farm it pretty easily. So make sure you get that max block and that spirit going, decent res. You'll be ready to go. But yeah, the pit's very solid. Honestly, it's the only area I'd really mess with for like solid farming in Act 1. Got a lot of cool items. But yeah, it's pretty cheap, doesn't have a lot of immunity issues, and he does a ton of damage in the late game. Just like the Bone Necro, I would say he's an A tier build. Also, I would say that of the Season 2 version of the Holy Bolt Paladin, which I would have said was S tier last season.
Greetings.
So, a lot of strong A tier magic builds in Season 2. And strong and powerful and have a good price point. The other cool thing about the Hammerdin is that he clears out large amounts of AoE very effectively. And with his Mercenary, because he has Splash, adds to your damage in that area of effect zone that you land on. Makes him very, very powerful. I can definitely use a lot of gear upgrades on this character. And we will be focusing on getting more gear upgrades for him, just like with the Bone Necro and other characters I want to make this season. But so far, we just have him and the Bone Necro. Let's go. This is another good area for the Hammerdin. You might be surprised to think, but why? Isn't this area horrible? Luck-Eye, wow, that's a extremely insane find. And in hell here. That's crazy. But yeah, in LOD, Maggot Lair is absolutely awful, but they widened the corridors, and it actually made it a pretty solid area for this character. There are no magic immunes in the Maggot Lair, just like with the pit. And the corridors are pretty well sized. That being said, it's probably still not an amazing area. I'd probably prefer to do the pit. There's another strong 85 area, especially if you want to change up scenery. It's actually pretty decent to do Maggot Lair with the Hammerdin. One area I would not do, which, same thing with the Teeth Necro. I didn't demo that for the Teeth Necro either. is Ancient Tunnels. Ancient Tunnels has magic immune zombies, which is another 85 area in LOD. But even Maggot Lair 1 and 2 are 85 now. And it's not too dangerous, so as long as you have your lightning res, that is, and max block, not much of a problem. And we can just use Enigma to teleport. Can't use Enigma too often because of the charges, so I'm making sure to use Joust as often as I can. That being said, it can be hard sometimes. Only get one Enigma teleport charge every 6 seconds. So mobility is a little more challenging than on LOD for sure. Someone asked, do you think the Bone Necro can kill Uber Tristram? It probably could with summons, but it would take open wounds, and it would take a long time because magic damage in general is not super effective at killing Uber bosses. They typically have a lot of magic resist, and because you don't have Crushing Blow using magic damage or other physical damage modifiers, and the Ubers themselves are very magic resistant and have a ton of HP, it can be challenging to kill Ubers with magic damage characters such as the Bone Necro or the Hammerdin. We're actually going to be turning this character into a Zealer soon. The Zealer is much better at doing that for sure. I would not recommend necessarily doing that, but you can if you want. I mean, if you ever want to challenge yourself, just kill the Ubers with a Sorceress. That's a pretty decent challenge, but it's possible. It's a good challenge. You need pretty damn good gear though. Affinity and everything else. Yeah, as you can see, pretty solid in the Maggot Lair. In LOD, you would never do this with a Hammerdin. You would never touch this area with... Wow, double aura. That's nasty. Very nasty right there. Mysticism Might Aura on physical damage monsters is one of the most dangerous things you can see in hardcore. Alright. Of course, I'll also go over like maybe some softcore modifications, but honestly, I feel like the Hammerdin in softcore and hardcore is very similar. Very similar. So Maggot Lair, another very solid 85 area. I'd say Pit's probably a bit better though still. The corridors aren't quite perfectly sized for the hammers, so it's still a little challenging. We'll sell the pluck eye to Mr. Drognan there, but it's pretty incredible just to find them in the first place. Yeah. Alright, and so next, we should probably go over another area is pretty strong in. Rock Fleece, cool. Another nice hell farming area here. Just Lower Kurast. Now Lower Kurast, just like I said on the Bone Necro, much better on a Sorceress because you have Teleport and Telekinesis. But with Charge, it's actually pretty nice. Like, especially if you put like Charge on your left click and then Vigor on your right click. I'm not going to do it right now, but if you did that, you can charge extremely long distances. And you just kind of hit all the clickables. The single player, of course, you can target the super chest if you get them right next to the warp, which always spawn in these two houses here. We're on this big bonfire here with torches. But for the most part, clickables are OP. I preach that in all my videos, they're always OP. I did a power farm recently in Season 2, people saw it. And people also started finding Sirs and Burrs doing the same thing. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, with Charge though, it's always nice. So if you have a Paladin, I'd say Paladin's probably the second best character to mess around with like clickables period on. It's literally like slightly less effective than Teleport on PD2 where Teleport's nerfed. It's really solid. And since Paladin also gets Vigor Aura, Like I said, you can have Vigor on at the same time that you charge. And easy mode. You just hit all these clickables. Get all those runes, charms, gems, jewels, jewelry. And gems. And just get rich off of crafting. Skillers. Godly small charms. High runes. And, you know, 1540 jewels and things like that. You can also, of course, from random clickables get even Shakos or Maras, so you can get all kinds of things in LK. I can barely drop Maras even, I've seen it before. Awesome stuff to do for sure. Another solid farm, and you can do this farm. The advantage of this farm is, like, when I always do this farm on any character that's actually pretty decent at it, it's huge for when you have like low level gear, when your gear isn't very good. Doing Hell K is so effective for getting yourself geared up. Highly recommend it. Just the random clickables, don't just need the super chests. Insanely effective. Hi Journey. Hi ZTZ. ZTG, sorry. What's up Bisco, how you doing? Oh wow, yeah, I'm still aiming for 125 CR in my Train Necro. He's got another skill though. You're gonna see that tomorrow. We'll see how powerful it is. This area is just a no-brainer on a Hammerdin. Hydras do a lot more damage now, but that's no excuse. Magic damage is so good in here because they have no magic resistance. Cold is also pretty good, but Torque is always cold immune, so that can be a bit more of a problem. And sometimes there's Stone Skin as well, but magic damage is always good in here. Magic, cold, and physical in general are the strongest damage types. Well, also poison, I guess. Yeah, poison's also very strong in Travincal. And Travincal is amazing. Like, I've done multiple trap power farms. I've found high runes, burr runes specifically a lot this season. And all kinds of crazy gear. It drops everything. It even drops gold. It drops all that basic gear as well. It's very efficient to just save and exit, go to Act 4, and then save and exit, and then rejoin the game. And just pound Trav over and over. Magic damage builds are just very good at it, and once you get strong enough on hardcore, at least make sure your res is decent. Make sure you maybe have a little bit of Sorb, like I'm wearing Steel Shade right now. Make sure, of course, you got max block, maybe some DR. Trav won't be able to kill you in players 1, and remember in PD2, it's always players 5 drops, which is why clickables and Trav are just so strong, even when you're just playing by yourself. You don't have to worry about any of these things. You don't have to be on single player. You don't have to turn the player count up. They're all effective farms, all of them. Alright. Next up is the Hammerdin's wheelhouse. You guys would know this from LOD. Well, even though the Hammerdin has several nerfs applied to him since LOD, such as not as much life from Redemption, obviously the Enigma's been nerfed directly, and the Hammerdin's base damage has been nerfed as well. The Hammerdins do spin faster, so that's actually a buff from LOD. But for the most part, even with all those nerfs and everything, almost nothing does chaos quite like a Hammerdin. Hammerdin, this is his wheelhouse. This is where he wants to be in life. Once you get him a bit geared up a bit more. I was even doing like 8-man games. I was actually surviving and I was killing things just fine. Definitely not as independent as an LOD where you can just solo the 8-man games with mediocre gear in LOD. This is, I'd say this is mid-high tier gear at this point, so it's like, we're definitely not high tier gear, but it's not mediocre. He's doing just fine. But you can see, he's still got a ton of mobility though. If you just chain your jousts and your teleports, make sure you just have 2 different hotkeys for them. He almost feels like an LOD Hammerdin. It's pretty close. Anyone that knows anything about LOD Hammerdin knows just how crazy they are, how safe they are, how effective, how reliable with botting and everything they've always been. You know, you can't go wrong with this character whatsoever when it comes to LOD content. But he's also really good at doing maps, and we'll show that. Do the map demos as well. Of course, we'll go over all the gear options at the end as well. Okay. Ooh, hello. Bricked or Veil of Steel? No, sir, no! Alright. Now, Diablo's probably gonna vaporize my mercenary. That's normal, but... And he has a lot more health, but for the most part, Diablo's still not much of a problem for this character. Having that fire sword is also very effective against the Venom Lords, even more so than Hydra, so... Always makes it a bit easy if you have like a Dwarf Star or a Steel Shade or something. Very cool stuff. So you can sit your head below this line here. Then the hammers will start hitting Diablo as soon as he spawns. I don't know why, but the hammers stop hitting him for some reason, unless I like jump to the other side of him now. Boom. Oh, well, once you look at that, a Diablo GC, we can re-roll that for 41 to 45 life there. If we use the 3 perfect gem recipe in the cube with the GC. You need a very high level GC. It's got to be level 91 plus in order to roll 41 to 45 life. And only monsters and maps, Diablo, Nilithok, and Baal can drop those kinds of... Wow, and at 14. Oh, res jewel. Nice. Very solid. Winning, baby, winning. Man, RNG was crazy again today. Nutty. I did like 1 Throne of Insanity, found a Burr and a Wind Force. We rolled at 5 sockets. Like, I don't know what it is with the Burr runes, but my conclusion is that I must have broken the server or something. I think that's what's going on there, so we'll see, we'll see. It's expensive if it's 3 sockets slammed. Yes, definitely. 3 socketed Veil of Steel. You're definitely talking a pretty darn expensive item, man. Pretty brokenly expensive. Xana approves for sure. Alright, so then once we make our way to Act 5, Hammerdin, of course, I would argue Hammerdin's probably better for Eldritch and Shenk than Bone Necro. Because you can just get right up in there and you just kill everything. Very instantaneous. Hammers have awesome AoE spread. And because of the rotating hammers, they do more damage per second than Bone Spear can to a single... Bone Spear and Teeth can. However, Teeth covers more of the screen. And it's a bit more reliable in terms of not needing as much mobility as well. So there's advantages and disadvantages. I'll talk more about that at the end. Those are pretty good things in general. You probably... I mean, you could definitely do Pendle on the Bone Necro a lot easier. This character is kind of bad. Jumping into Charger Zombies always feels bad on this character, which is one of the reasons why you also want to avoid maps of Charger Zombies. They knock you out of position. They kind of smack you around. They bully you, and you can't really get your hammers on the targets very well sometimes. So I don't really recommend messing around with those kinds of monsters too much on a Hammerdin. It's all about positioning. Positioning is huge. As you can see here, we got some souls. Don't have Wisp Projector or T-Gods on, so we're going to take a full measure of damage from them. But as you can see, for the most part, Hammerdin destroys Worldstone as well. He's got no issues with Worldstone. Another great farming location for Mr. Hammerdin. If you get your FCR elsewhere, it's pretty easy to get like a Wisp Projector, or you can get a Wisp Projector with FCR. And you can get like T-Gods, maybe stack your Light Res a bit. Not much of a problem really though in the general. Worldstone's another great 85 area. Any item can drop in the game in any of these areas that I've gone over, except for Eldritch Shenk. Okay, and Trav, which have some restrictions. This is players 1 Mirage, so it doesn't seem tame to me. No, they did not nerf soul damage. If you do players 8 souls, oh yeah, they'll destroy you still. These are players 1 souls, and they're hurting me pretty bad here. Gotta use those 3 Enigma charges, man. Alright, we're almost done with our LOD demos. Pretty strong build. Yeah, you know, a lot of people might think this build is dead in PD2. I'll tell you, it's not. Very, very strong, very, very powerful. Just gotta have the right gear, though, in general. I don't even have the best gear, and I'll explain that when I go over the gear, but it's doing pretty well. Baal, Hammerdin always struggles a little bit in Wave 2, but luckily it's only players 1. And the Mercenary has decent damage right now with the gear he currently has. Take out Wave 2 with no problem. I think you're lagging, man. I think you're lagging. Lag monster. Let's get the Mercenary right up in there with his melee splash. Not a big problem. You're in a group, other people have other types of damage anyway, so. Here comes the Hydras again. Ow! Oof. Oof. Yeah, hammers are... The hammer rotation speed has actually been increased, so... They hit very fast, like... It just takes everything out. The hammer pool is more deadly than ever, almost, even though the damage is a bit lower. Pretty nasty. Baal's always a little bit challenging for magic damage. It was the same for Baal. I mean, for the Bone Necro. It was the same for Baal. Notice Joust sometimes is not positioned to the point where you can hit him with the hammers. Yeah, positioning can be a bit challenging on him sometimes. That's the only problem with Baal. If he stays still though, it's pretty nice. There we go. Cool. And he dropped nothing! Yay! Alright, so now we're gonna do some map demos here. I don't think we're going to do the whole map today. I think we went a little too far doing way too much of the map with... I do kind of want to see if I can demo the boss fights too, but... we'll see what we can do here. Let's start with the tier 1 that I'd say he's best at. Not by a huge amount. I'd say Bash and Keep, just like with the Bone Necro, is very, very strong on the Hammerdin. The Hammerdin has very little issues with this map. On this map, the corridors are even better than they are in the Maggot Lair, as you can see. It's almost perfect here. Only problem is the pillars sometimes. So, we are done with the LOD content demos. Hope you enjoyed those. As you can see, he's a beast! He needs no introduction. Not clearing the map fully, Nani. Yeah, for purposes of maybe trying to reduce the length of it, I don't know. I know I kind of go into everything when I do this, but it's not always a good thing. Making it take longer than maybe it should be. As you can see, I can kind of jump into fanaticism stuff to a degree. Build like a truck. I don't have tons of DR. My stats are on the screen there above my potions and my XP bar. But the fact that he has 14,000 defense means they don't hit me very often. The monsters in general have a hard time hitting me. The ghosts there can only have a 16% chance to actually hit me, and that's if they get through the block. The most dangerous monster in here, even though I'm very effective at this map, is the flying scimitars. Mind their auras. If they get auras, it can hurt. Mind how many of them there are. Yeah, they hit like a truck. Oof. Let's see if we can find the boss somewhere. Triggered.
I can already tell that I'll be your best friend in this forsaken camp.
Thank you so much for the follow, man. Let's go. Welcome to the cult of Xana. Okay, here we go. As you can see in general, very, very solid. Very adept at moving around. I think that was an extra strong one. I couldn't see though. Boss is a little bit of a pain. Ah, there's the boss. What do you know? Ow! Okay, well, this is pretty scuffed. Ow! Oh my god. Well, anyway, I went through a lot of potions there to keep the mercenary alive and myself, but he's a bit of a pain. She's a bit of a pain. Also, I decided to jump on top of her with, like, all those other crazy boss packs. Maybe not wise, but yeah, some of these map bosses are nasty. Damage definitely gets pretty high. Anyway, that was pretty cool, right? I'd say maybe that's where, Hammerdin, I wouldn't say is maybe one of the strongest characters at killing bosses. I would say maybe that's where the Bone Necro has, like, a somewhat of an advantage. Because all you gotta do is sit back, let the golems tank, and then kill him with Bone Spirit. But at the same time, I mean, it's manageable. It's not like it's a non-starter or something. You can do it. Man, Mercenary needs a beef up, guys. It's not looking so good. His boss is still killing him. Man, I swear the Mercenary is just so crazy beefy in this mod. It's crazy you can even survive it that well. Alright, so that's an Alder's armor. That was a pretty nice drop from the boss there. Alright, anyway. I think that's pretty good to go over for the tier 1 map there. I mean, you can kind of get the gist of it there. Very strong map for him in general. Pretty straightforward for a Hammerdin. Corridors are almost the perfect like width for the hammers. It's like almost what you want. In general, like I'd also say Ruins of Hdin is very strong. Hdin is also very strong on the Hammerdin. Not going to demo it, but it's strong as long as you teleport on top of the magic immunes. Like it's wide open areas are very good for hammers, and it also destroys pretty well. Bash and Keep is also very effective as well, just like with the Bone Necro. But I would say like Bash and Keep was made for the Bone Necro. Like if you wanna do that map with anyone, like that character, maybe in Lightning Sin, are probably going to be your best bets. Or other lightning type characters. Just really strong stuff in general. Yeah, man, a lot of people playing hardcore now that the servers are functioning again. Servers are more beautiful than ever. Alright. So now we're going to go do Blood Moon. Now, this might trigger some people if I don't clear it 100%, but we'll see what we can do here. This is a tier 2 map. I would say this is one of his best maps, period, but you could say that about so many other builds. Really what it comes down to is hammers pierce, teeth don't. I actually thought teeth were horrible for this map when I tried it. That's why I didn't even showcase it. Teeth don't pierce, so they really have a problem doing damages to hordes of cows at a time. So you kind of have to just whittle them away and they have a lot of HP. But as you can see with hammers, they don't have that problem. And the map is wide open, which once again is a feature of a good map for this character. No. I'd say Teeth actually prefers the narrow hallways, kind of a like Throne of Insanity, and Bash and Keep, and Fledgathon. But hammers absolutely tear this place to pieces. And I can only imagine once I get like my torch or my Annie, another P-comb, maybe some more plus skill corruptions or something. Because maybe a plus skill FCR rings. Or just plus skill rings with FCR elsewhere. 125 CR Hammerdin, man. Really tears Blood Moon a new one. Very effective build for this area. I mean, obviously things like Trap Sin is also very effective, so there's no immunities at all, so it's not like magic damage really stands out in here, but hammers specifically do because of the pool they create and the damage, and the fact that they pierce, and how you can kind of just teleport into the middle of a ton of cows and just like make some beef patties, man. Easy. I would say this is his best tier 2, just like Arcane is his best tier 1, or Horazon's. He also has some other pretty good tier 2s though, like Fledgathon's decent. The only problem though is the Charger Zombies in that one. Same thing with Area Battlefield, decent, but Charger Zombies do make things problematic. They do knock you out of your position, which is not great. When I say Charger Zombies, I mean like the undead chargers, the undead corpses, the prowling dead, those things are annoying. They're especially annoying on characters that have to get really up close to do the damage, that rely heavily on positioning because they knock you back. Which also means that if you roll Reanimated Horde as a mod on your map, you probably want to re-roll your map when you're playing the Hammerdin. I would say the same for dolls too, because you want to get right up in there. You don't want to spend time kiting out the doll explosions. Alright, there's the boss of the map already. She's pretty easy. Cow Queen is a death lord. That is lightning bolts. I learned today you can revive her with a necromancer. That was kind of interesting. Hammerdin about to open that burger joint. Yeah, as you can see, he shreds this map easily. So if you want a blood mean shredder and you love this map, and it's got high density in general too, usually. Especially if you get some modifiers on your map. I got ghosts one time and it was really nice. Hey, where's Charcy? Where's Charcy, Kappa? What's up, Malik? How you doing? No, I've never beat the game, man. Hey, Malik, I haven't seen you in forever, man. What's up, dude? You know we have a YouTube now? Say hi to YouTube. Hi, YouTube. Hi. Yeah, you can revive. You can revive it, apparently, yeah. Look at all these map drops, nice. I've already done the boss and kind of, you know, you can already kind of get the gist of the area, but I really like this map. These maps are very valuable because so many characters do them very well. So many classes, so many builds. So I'm going to respect the map here a bit here and try to finish it a bit here. Careful for auras, though. In general, cows just do a ton of physical damage. I'm sure you're not being too ridiculous in their positioning sometimes. That was almost Tal's armor. Lacquer plate. Not good enough roll on that one. Are bosons viable for any endgame hardcore? Yeah, of course. It's all about getting those Valkyries, not getting hit, and having tons of life leech. And having just enough survivability to where if you do get hit once, you should be fine. I'm not gonna lie though. I think I'm gonna play Boson this season. I played Javazon last season. I'm gonna focus a lot more on Boson this season. And I'm a little scared to play it on hardcore, but I'll do it anyway. Not the safest thing you could possibly imagine in the universe. No shield. That being said though, you know, just gotta stand back and fire. Bosons have the most range. They have range for days. You just want to off-screen things whenever possible. Make sure you have your res, make sure you have at least some DR, and you should avoid any unfortunate run-ins with the dude in Jedi bathrobes, Sith bathrobes, whatever you want to call it, on the character screen. Yeah, Trapsons are also amazing in this map. When I make my Chain Lightning Sin, I'll go over that. Oh god. Ooh. Oh man, they got double auras. So this is just what I was talking about. They got Blessed Aim and Fanaticism. My heart definitely skipped a few beats there. I jumped maybe a little too deep. I did that yesterday and it was even worse than that. You gotta be careful where you jump sometimes in maps. Maps are brutal. And sometimes you can find yourself surrounded by multiple auras, ghost stacking, like in the video I just posted yesterday. This character almost dying, getting down to 136 HP. Oh yeah. That was not a save and exit though, that was okay. I just had to like jump a bit to the side. Want to give the solution? The solution is to not jump into them directly. Hit them around the sides. Respect them. Respect them. Ooh, is that Cow Kings? Aw, boo. I heard you can actually find Cow Kings from a cow in the map. What a load of nonsense. Delirium helmet? Yeah, that works too. Like Delirium, any kind of source of confuse definitely works. You can put Delirium on your mercenary, and then you can cause the monsters to hit each other. That's one way, but it doesn't always save you though. That's not a... It's not an all-purpose solution. Dream also works too, so Dream also has the chance to confuse enemies. But I don't know. It's only chance to confuse, so you gotta be careful. RNG can still kill you. All you got is the curses, yeah. You do have a good point there, sir. You guys think they should add a Dark Humility sound pack to the cow level? Well, we met the quota today, you know. We met the beef quota. McDonald's is happy. We're taking our millions. That was very good for dropping Worldstone shards for sure. Cannot go wrong there. This map is pretty big. Here we go, there's another situation here where we got Might Aura. Might Aura... See, as long as they can't hit me, it's not too bad. But when they have an aura plus blessed aim, they can hit me with it. That means my defense is almost useless. This character relies a lot on his defense for survivability. Okay, that's really dangerous. Now there's might on top of fanaticism for the cows. That is no joke. Be very, very, very wary of that. And remember, positioning is still king. Wow, look at that. My goodness. Mana potions. Been a bad Dark Humility. Very bad. Not using my redemption as often as I should. That's okay. You don't need perfect gameplay. Never, never need it. This is one of the few places in this game I haven't found a brewery in Kappa. Kinda no Kappa though. Is this the end of the map? Interesting, I didn't even know cows could spawn back there.
I can't carry anymore.
Blessed Hammer works like Frozen Orb. I mean, it does. It's based on FCR frames now. So the thing about paladins is their block frames are so good that even if you block a whole bunch, it's not a big deal. Respect the auras. Hey, what do you know? That's why we kept playing this map right here, guys. Guys and gals, we kept playing because we wanted to get a map that replaced this map. Awesome. That's why. Okay. I think it might have, yeah. I'm not sure. Ask chat. I don't mess with those other filters, so I don't know. Question was about getting rid of big box filters. Redeemed voice character sounds. Why? I'm trying to do something serious here. Okay. I gotta make up for it right now. Dark Humility sound pack incoming. Let's go. He's going insane! Implying I wasn't already insane. Oh wait, I'm not supposed to voice the cows, sorry. Burning in the fire. Oof. Larzuk's Puzzlebox, let's go! During the demo video, guys, we have just found a beautiful, beautiful item. This is what we call a Larzuk's Puzzlebox. You never found one of these before, you just gotta play the game a ton and you'll find one. Also, clickables tend to drop it. Cows actually tend to be a little bit better than some monsters because they also tend to be better than most monsters from runes as well. Same thing with Worldstone shards and similar items like charms, gems, jewels, and jewelry, just like clickables from Trav, and also the monsters like council members in Travincal. So cows actually have a bit of an advantage for dropping that. Slightly. Another great find today. The RNG don't stop, we don't stop.
No.
I told you we were. Someone asked me if I was high earlier. I responded. I'm high on Diablo too. See, this is proof. Alright. Here we go. Okay, there's a... I'm amped and there's might. Not ideal. Alright, looks like we killed him though. Aura down. Essential testing apparatus destroyed. Alright. That's what you want to focus on in hardcore for sure. Getting those auras down. Okay. Just regular high. Oh yeah, Luigi. Okay, that's true. Yeah, it probably makes sense. Woohoo! Oh baby. Ooh! I don't like these wooded areas. The trees sometimes stop the hammers. Not ideal. Ow! Alright. Ow. Oh my goodness. Oh! Oh my goodness. You got a freaking conviction aura. This is why I would like to wear Shaco at some point. I need more DR. I really do. It's a little ridiculous. Oh my god. There's so many. That's not even the might aura. Oh, nice. River of Blood now. I feel it. I feel it. Yeah, cows, once they get auras, are pretty nasty. Like, that was almost a pretty good druid Amy. Actually, I might want to keep that. It's decent. Huh. 2 druid. You can see though that once we get tons of cows and might aura, it's getting nasty pretty quick. I have no idea where the might aura cow is whatsoever. There's like a might aura cow somewhere. That is pretty clear. Where is he? He's like trapped in a house or something. Okay then, well, this is like one of those scenarios where it's probably not worth even looking for him. This whole time's been granting might aura to like all the cows. Oh, there he is. Wow. Finally. E2 OP, that's right, man. Best game ever. Alright, so that was a pretty nice map, and I really like that map. I'd say, you know, that's definitely one of his best maps for sure. I mean, that goes for a lot of builds, but I would say the Bone Necro is not one of them. So, Bone Necro, you don't really want to waste Blood Moon maps. It's pretty inefficient. This character, however, can do it pretty darn fast, which is pretty nice. No disappointments. No disappointments at all. Okay, let's go do another tier 2 map that he's pretty good at. Nothing too special here.
Can I help you?
Let's go demo Torajan Jungle. Torajan Jungle, pretty decent tier 2 map. Nothing too crazy though. Wow, someone's making all my games. Wow. Easy. Okay. So, this is where we found bird number 6 last night. Found 7 today, Throne of Insanity, which, I don't know, it's all insanity now with that many birds, if you ask me. The Torajan Jungle is pretty solid for magic damage. Kind of see that here. Really solid stuff. Very, very good. Ooh. Extra maps, yeah. IQ. Get him. Torajan Jungle is mostly just weak for people for lightning damage, cold damage, and I guess to a lesser extent poison damage. Even poison probably does decently in here though. It's really good for magic damage, fire damage. Corridors are also really nice size. The D2 Resurrected hype is real, man, for sure. You won't catch me missing that. Unless I'm dead. Oh! Hey, nice. Bash and Keep. I actually do need more of those, too. I feel like I could use a lot more of those in Blood Moon maps. One of these grottos is where the boss is. Yeah, as you can see, he definitely tears this map a new one. Not too hard. There's some decent level of physical damage in here though, so getting that defense up is going to be pretty huge. Oh, baby. Get him. Okay. I've gotten used to the hotkeys a bit, but having 2 teleports is definitely a little odd after playing a lot of LOD. You'll find that if you're used to just like using 1 teleport. But if you use both teleports, you can minimize the downtime, and you can always make sure that you have some kind of a teleport available to maximize the size of the pool, the hammer damage output. Really good stuff in general, though. After this map, we'll do a demo of the tier 3. He's best on. I don't know if I'm gonna do 100% of this map, really. I'll at least get to the boss. This character is really strong at killing the boss. Like, he makes the boss look like a joke. Hammers is honestly pretty ideal for this map. Because they pierce, hit all the maggots, and the maggots... Oh wow, that's... really makes it pretty simple. Okay, I'm going to start out with a sorceress so I can farm up for other characters. We're going to do the classic start. The most Diablo 2 thing ever, and start out with a Blizzard sorceress. Blood water! Wow, we're almost 90.5 today. Nice. What's up, man? Oh. Okay, so we got... Council members are also always amazing, so this map has some good monster types. Council members can definitely have higher chances to drop those high runes. And the shards and things like Puzzlebox, it's kind of like the cows. They're not as dense though as the cow level, of course, but... Oh, nice, she dropped her gloves. Let's not do that. Let's say we did. Okay, here we go. Charge. So yeah, I mean, it's another map he really doesn't have any problems with. And it's pretty wide open. In general, the theme is the more wide open, the better. Corridors are nice too, like on Arcane. Especially when you can jump between the platforms with your joust and your teleport. However, in general, the theme is that the more open the map, the better on this character. This map's pretty open. Ah, very nice. That is not going to be Cow Kings, though. No cows around. Expect another bird by the time you come back. Oh, baby. Oh, I hope so. Now, once again, as a reminder, once we finish the Tier 3 map demo, I will go over his stats, his skills, his gear, and explain what items could be improved, any hardcore softcore differences, and I'll kind of talk about it, you know, how he fares compared to other magic damage builds in PD2 at the moment. And maybe where he's strong where other characters are weak, and where he's weak where they're a bit stronger. It's always important to be balanced. Ah, we found the boss. Well, that's what we wanted. That giant worm. Great worm. So as you can see, the magic damage doesn't do too much, but if you get your mercenary right up in here and just kill all the infinitely spawning maggots with your hammers, it's honestly pretty face roll. Like, this is one of the safest, simplest bosses for this character, period. Death Maiden can be a little scary with that damage sometimes. So can some of the other bosses, like the one we're about to do in the Tier 3 map. That one's the scariest of all. But this one's actually pretty easy. I'm going to respec for Zeal, probably. I mean, I was thinking Smite or Zeal, but I'm starting to lean towards Zeal a bit with the Crushing Blow changes. I don't know how effective Smite's actually going to be with a lot. They've nerfed Crushing Blow so much. They nerfed it again this season. I'm sure it's still decent, but I don't know. I think I might be focusing on Zeal very soon here. You can expect to see the Zealer in a couple of days, as long as we don't have any fatal hiccups. Never know, really, but that's how it goes. That's how she goes in hardcore. But especially when you're not, like, I would say fully geared. He's definitely has some pretty solid stuff at this point, but you know. So once again, you know,
I can already tell that I'll be your best friend.
Once again, as a magic damage character, he's really solid, like just in general, in most maps, most areas of the game. That's one of the advantages of just having magic damage. You don't have to worry about immunities too much. There are monsters that are magic resistant, and there's even fewer that are magic immune. In maps, it's still the case. However, magic damage isn't the strongest in the late game compared to a lot of builds. Simply because They can be boosted by infinity, facets, and other things. And once they get boosted by their highest gear, their DPS tends to exceed magic damage builds in general. But we'll talk about how he compares to magic builds later, like other magic builds, not necessarily other builds in general. Thank you so much for the follow, man. Welcome to the cult of Xana. Let's get it. Alright, I think I'm gonna keep that, actually. It's pretty solid. Alright, so there's more map I could do in there, but I think that pretty much sums it up. Pretty good demo of that area there. Maps are pretty big. Make sure to do them all when you can, of course. Get them all, get them all. Get them all. That it looks like a solid Bastion keep map, not gonna lie. I'm probably gonna hold that for the Necro, though. I feel like the Necro just destroys his maps so well. I should be doing them as often as possible with the Necromancer. Alright, so let's see. The last demo map we have here is a tier 3. I would say this is his best tier 3. Torajan Jungle I'd say is slightly worse than Blood Moon for him, but it's honestly like almost the same tier. Which is why I did both of those maps, just to show you that like he's really good at both of those maps. He's really, really strong at them. He's strong at a lot of maps in general. I mean, once again, Area Battlefield and Fledgathon are a bit of a challenge in Tier 2 because they have Charger Zombies. But Blood Moon and that map right there, Torajan Jungle, are pretty strong for this character. As far as Tier 3s, he's pretty good in Throne of Insanity. I'd say that's his second best one. We're not going to do that one today to demo it, but his best one I think is Ancestral Trial. It's really wide open. Now that can be dangerous in hardcore, but to be fair, wide open just in general for damage output on hammers is amazing. And most of the monsters fly towards you and come towards you in Ancestral Trial, and it's got really nice monster types like ghost type monsters for those runes, charms, gems, and jewels and whatnot. This map has a ton of density, so hopefully I can kind of demo this point I'm about to make here. This is where we almost died yesterday, so be careful where you jump into on such an open map. Lesson learned yesterday, let me tell you. Yeah, as you can see, pretty solid stuff. Ghosts can be especially dangerous when they get huge quantities. There's a lot of cold damage in this map. It could also help to have maybe an FCR Ravenfrost in here. I don't currently have one, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to get 125 FCR and have that cannot be frozen come from a Ravenfrost, get some cold absorb. Especially in hardcore, or if you're going to 99 on softcore. I'll get to you very shortly, Reckless. We're gonna have to finish this video thing here. It's a Hammerdin guide slash demo that I'm making here for YouTube. Once we get it, we'll do it. So yeah, this map in general, the corridors are really big. Really big corridors. Be careful though, it is a tier 3 map, so I would recommend using more DR. Like,
I'll be your best friend
if you can get DR corruptions on your rack or DR on your storm shell, get your DR up before you mess around in here too much. My DR is not really appropriate for this, but it's okay. I mean, you can see we're managing. It's just you definitely got to watch your HP bar, watch the auras in here. There can be a lot of dangerous monsters. Well, luckily for the most part, it's not too bad. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the Cult and Xander's Day. So yeah, as you can see, Ancestral Trial is a breeze. Sewers of Haragoth also has knockback snakes, which is why I personally wouldn't choose it. Throne of Insanity would be my second choice because it mostly has physical damage monsters and you can block them and kind of just jump right in. I've done that map with this character. It feels strong. Sewers has knockback sneaks though. Once again, any kind of knockback, not good. River of Blood is a problem for a different reason. It has magic immunes. Just like with the Bone Necro, you wouldn't want to do that map at all with this character. Very, very slow. I'm gonna... There aren't many magic immunes, period. Alright, so as you can see here, this is some danger right here. Just mention the auras. Yeah, it's not too bad. One thing about this map is that it's kind of a bit shorter of a map, which is kind of nice. Don't really have to worry about like taking forever in here. Also, I think the boss is always in the same location too. Nice. Be careful when you jump, but I didn't see any auras over there, so I knew I could probably jump back out. I absolutely had to. Careful though. I almost learned the hard way yesterday. Especially if there's tons of ghosts. Hey, you see how wide open this map is? Okay, yeah, it's starting to get a little sketchy there. Lots of nice tasty auras for a demo here in this map. Challenging me with the 13% DR here. Good. In general though, maps do tend to have aura problems, so I mean... that's kind of what you sign up for. Lots of stacked auras, lots of danger. Lots of fun just the same. Yeah, I'm gonna use Joust a few times here just to let my teleport charges recharge. And then in general, just gonna go back up here. Oh, I found Storm Shield off of cows. Nice, Donato. I wish you had back the 4 years you spent on this game. I don't. Why would you ever apologize for playing the best game ever made? To be fair though, I know that this game's so addictive that it often ruined people's schooling. It might have ruined other things too. Why party when you can play Diablo 2, right? Give me my youth back! Sewers of Paragoth map. Lots of maps so far in here. The maps do mostly drop inside of the maps now. They're actually pretty rare in LOD content. Clickables, Travincal, and Ghost type monsters drop maps a bit more likely still in LOD content, but it's pretty rare in LOD. Fun map on this character, really solid. Once again, like I said, open corridors, open map in general. Lots of space to just run free and jump and telestomp. Overall, this character looks really strong in this map. So, in terms of tier 2's maps, very solid. Now I got my Torajan Jungle map back too. Only map I didn't get back is the Horazon still. Nice. Let's not leave the GC on the ground. Tier Haunch. I already have one of those on the free list. I think I'll leave that one alone as a +1 there. But Trav! Yeah, Travincal is insane, for sure. I am the last person to underestimate Travincal. If you're playing LOD especially, but if you're playing this mod, it's still the case. What a Diablo 2 OP! Yeah, Diablo 3, no, it doesn't really scratch the same itch for me personally. I can understand why it was easier for you to quit, for sure. Why would you ever want to? That's the real question. Why would you want to? Just don't lose your job or divorce your wife. Just make sure your wife plays with you and you do your job while you're playing Diablo. Kappa. You're good to go. Kind of random property rings. Yeah. Alright, so let's see here. Okay, I think this is the boss, but I'm not sure. Boss is very nasty if this is the boss. No, I don't think it's the boss. Boss is always over there. He's always on the top right. As you can see though, it's hard to go wrong, man. It's hard to go wrong. 43 life. So when I do my crafting session, which I'm also going to try to post up on YouTube here on Friday, I want to make sure we can do as many rerolls and crafted enemies as possible. Traded your wife's Burun to the boss. And then your wife divorced you. And only Mirage comes up with these things, man. Mirage is a genius, gotta say. Have you ever thought of like becoming a professional comedian? You have the brain for it, man. If you haven't, you've missed out in life for sure, Mirage. Absolutely. Oh man. Instructions unclear. Wake, oh yeah. Oh no, this is the game I've spent the most time on. I'm not gonna use the word wasted, but I feel like it's only wasted time if you regret the time spent, but Diablo 2 is definitely it's a lot of fun for sure. I spent a lot of time on MOBAs like League of Legends, yeah. League of Legends, you know, stole my soul for a little bit there. It was fun. Until, you know, I decided it wasn't anymore. More trouble than it was worth. Once I got to Diamond and solo queue and playing Victor mid in Season 5, called it quits. Those games really elicit the worst from people, including myself. Like, those kinds of team play games where your impact is only 20%, if not 10% of the game, because it's 1 versus 9 in most scenarios, and you're forced to kind of like, you know, be put at the mercy of what everyone else does, no matter how good you do or how bad you do. It's really hard on the psychology. There's a lot of team games that are bad, but I'd say MOBAs are especially bad because of the specific team dynamics that go on. And the fact that no matter how good you play, you can't carry the whole team. Because of the specific mechanics in those kinds of games. It's frustrating. It's definitely frustrating. You have anger management issues, I don't recommend those types of games to anybody. Even if you don't have anger management issues, you might develop them. And you might lose all your friends in the process. can solo hard carry way more in Dota than League. Yeah, I guess, you know, certain MOBAs might be better for that. Like, certain MOBAs that might reward individual player skill a bit more. But, yeah, I mean, I played a lot of League of Legends, and in League of Legends it can be hard to solo hard carry sometimes. I mean, obviously, you know, overall, you'll tend to win more than you lose if you know what you're doing, but until, of course, you reach your skill level. But it's so frustrating sometimes, the ups and downs. The getting there, feeling like you just wasted an entire day sometimes. MOBAs would also feel amazing, though. Like, MOBAs would also, like, you know, when you, like, you know, killed every member of the enemy team just by yourself, like, it always felt amazing. Just, you were the center. You were it all. Pure communism. Yeah, Heroes of the Storm, it didn't reward individual individual play at all. I think that's why maybe it didn't really take off, is that nobody could feel like a god. It kind of just felt like, you know, something you kind of just did. Enough about MOBAs, guys. We're talking about Diablo 2 here. Okay, let's get a little bit of ways from the boss. That's the boss there. The boss, this is probably the hardest boss for this character to engage, even though he does very well in Ancestral Trial, like the area. Ooh, martial arts GC, nice. He does find this boss a little challenging. We'll kind of see what I mean here in a second. As I start killing him. He's a little challenging for sure. I recommend clearing out all these little dudes that are everywhere. He's usually surrounded by tons of other monsters, especially bone mages. So again, this is kind of one of those scenarios where as you just saw there, my health was dropping extremely fast. Having the mercenary tank is a great idea, though. Alright, that fight actually went a lot cleaner than it did yesterday. So normally what you want to do is you want to joust or teleport on top of him. Be prepared to, like, instantly juve, and then kind of just get him on one of the second or the third ring of hammers, and then kill him. And hopefully he attacks the mercenary. If he starts attacking you, you might have to reset it a few times, but yeah, he does a ton of damage. He does Blizzard, he does very powerful Ice Arrow or Ice Bolt. He hurts a lot. You saw how fast my health dropped there. He's not a joke. Going in melee range is staying there for too long could be a death sentence against him. Be very careful with that one. Let's see. Luckily we tried him out yesterday, so we kind of knew what to watch out for there. Sweet! Alright guys, well that concludes the area demo of the Hammerdin's demo. Hope you guys enjoyed all the fun areas we've done today. All of the other beautiful, beautiful fun areas. Very good stuff. Oh, danger! Dangerous, man. Dangerous. Alright. Yeah, I will list the full map tiers for this character like I did on the Bone Necro video that I made for the Bone Necro guide in the description, and I'll pin a post for it as well for the tiers of his maps, like in terms of like the maps that he's best at, in order starting from his very best map. Not necessarily in order of tiers, but just, you know, give you guys an idea of like what maps you probably should target on the Hammerdin. I've done them all, so or at least theorized them all, knowing my past experience with the Hammerdin and things about like charger zombies and whatnot. Charger zombies and snakes, not good monsters for this character. Stay away. Alright. Next, let's kind of talk about, let's go over his stats and skills and whatnot, and at the very end I will talk about like what his relative strengths are versus like different kinds of magic damage characters, because I get those questions a lot since I started playing this character a few days ago. So stats, it's pretty straightforward on a Hammerdin. Hammerdin, you always want max block. In hardcore in general, if you have a shield and it's got good block and you're at the point in the game where you have a decent shield to get block, you should. But on a paladin, it's a no-brainer because you have the skill Holy Shield. There's almost no other way to create a paladin of almost any kind, unless you're just kind of messing around on softcore with like a two-hand zeal or something. Always want to make sure you get that max block Holy Shield, even on softcore in most scenarios. So there's really no excuse because of Holy Shield. It boosts your block chance, makes blocking have amazing frames, so that you're not wasting your time blocking when you jump into monsters. It's a no-brainer for sure. Really good stuff. As you can see here, though, we have 14,000 defense with my current gear setup. 7.5k hammers on beta. I tested it, and I was able to get to like 9.5 to 10k hammers. So my gear is definitely not best in slot yet. We're working on it. I'm missing many plus skills. But overall, he's still tearing through tier 3 maps, and he's doing pretty well. So I would say he definitely passes the general stress tests at his current gear level at 39 level hammers. He has max res, of course. In hardcore in general, you definitely want to stack that res when you can. My lightning res isn't very good at all. It's just barely stacked. Poison you don't need to stack because there's no auras that reduce it. Until you do Ubers with like lower resistant Baal, but it doesn't matter. So for the most part, you just stack that light, cold, fire res. I have some fire sword as well, though, so it's not super stacked, but it's decent. Make sure that conviction doesn't insta-kill me. Stacking cold res for Ancestral Trial and getting some cold sword is definitely advised, though. You have damage reductions, 13%. I think too great. 125 CR. That, I think, is a must. Like, before you start playing this character, I think you should try to get to 125 FCR if you can. Or at least work towards it very quickly. Because that rate of hammer firing is extremely good. It's how you tear through the monsters very quickly, and it adds to your DPS a ton. It's a huge jump in DPS from 75 to 125. I'm hitting 48 FHR with max block. That's pretty decent. I mean, you could hit more FHR if you get like FHRP codes or something.
I can already tell that I'll be your best friend in this.
Thank you so much for the follow, man.
Camp.
Welcome to the Cult of Xanadur's Stay. So yeah, we have 48 FHR. Very nice stuff. And my magic find's almost 200. So usually that's kind of where you want it. I can actually get to over 200 pretty easily with some different gear, which I'll explain when I go over the gear. Some gear improvements I'm still lacking. You can definitely get 200 to 300 pretty easy. And not being on a map, that's impressive because just like in that map I just did, you can... Well, that map didn't have any MF bonus, the one I just did, but most maps have like 150, 150 MF bonus, and then you end up getting like around 300, 400, and that's perfect with diminishing returns. So I wouldn't worry too much about your magic find in general. Even for LOD content, somewhere between like 200 and 300 is pretty decent. So we're getting there. Pretty decent in general. So yeah, that's kind of his stats overview. Lots of cool stuff. Good stuff. He's got a good hit recovery. He's got his max block. He's got his ultra high defense. And he's got pretty decent hammers. He's level 90 at the moment. And we'll be getting him higher very shortly. Skills are pretty simple. Skills, you just put 1 point to Joust with Enigma, Teleport, plus Joust on your hotkeys. See, these are my teleport hotkeys. So Joust is X, Teleport is S. Remember to use Joust when you feel like you've used Blink too often, so that Blink can recover. And then you can go, Joust, teleport, and then go Joust. And you can just keep repositioning your hammers. Repositioning hammers is how you maximize that surface area, just like in LOD. It's definitely a very good idea to have all that mobility on the Hammerdin as soon as you can possibly get it. That's why I think this build is more expensive than a Bone Necro, because personally, I don't know how much I'd actually like to play a Hammerdin until I get Enigma. So maybe you should consider making this after you get some wealth. I don't know if it's like something, it's like the best starter in the universe. You can start with it in an area like Trav or the pit and just use Joust when you can. And it works pretty decently, but this character really starts to feel really good with the smoother Enigma teleports, taking precedence over those Jousts and using the Jousts only when you're running out of Enigma teleports. FHR is not the block speed, actually. FHR is the speed that you recover if you take more than 1/12 of your health in damage. That means the hit actually goes through. It hits your health, you actually take the damage, and then you get knocked in a hit recovery animation, which you can't really do anything until you get out of the animation. Anyway, let's go over the skills again. Block speed is actually, by the way, block speed is the highest in the game with Holy Shield. So this is why getting right in the middle of enemies with a Paladin is not a bad thing, because Holy Shield is amazing. So it's such an amazing skill. But anyway, 1 point Joust. You need that for mobility. That's your bare minimum for that. Max out Blessed Hammer, of course. You max out the skill you're using. Pretty basic stuff. Holy Shield. I am putting the rest of my points in here right now. Next level, I'll continue to put points into Holy Shield. I'm basically putting all my spare points into Holy Shield. You're definitely going to want at least 1 point into it before you start putting your spare points into it. You don't really need more than 1 point, but it's huge just having the Holy Shield for the block frames and for the successful blocking rate to get max block on a character without investing tons of dex points. As you can see, I have max block with only 120 dex. You can usually get there around 150 if you're not wearing Steel Shade and some other items, but you kind of get the idea. Like, it's really good to not, to still have over 400 vitality, especially on a Paladin. But yeah, Holy Shield's amazing. Put the rest of your points there when you're done maxing out your damage skills. Concentration is your aura, so just like an LOD, no one's ever getting rid of that bug because this bug is so iconic to the build. That concentration is the only... I should say Blessed Hammer is the only skill in the game, the only magic skill in the game that is boosted by damage aura. And it's only boosted by concentration. So this aura does not boost bone damage. It does not boost Holy Bolt. Do not think this works on all magic damage. It does not. It only works on hammers, period. I like to stress that because a lot of people ask about that or get confused about it. But yeah, you're definitely going to want your concentration on, which is why I'm constantly switching back to concentration after I teleport so that I can maximize my damage. Without concentration, I do 7.5. I should say with it. Without it, I only have 2.6k damage. So, yeah, pretty big deal. Pretty big deal. Make sure you get that one maxed. Make sure you max out Blessed Aim. And make sure you max out Vigor. Blessed Aim or Vigor are both synergies for Blessed Hammer. Also, having that high Vigor is just awesome because you can run really fast through town and whatnot. You can use it to boost the speed of your party. Pretty cool. And I also put 1 point Redemption, so I don't have to use as many mana pots when I'm being smart. I just pop Redemption and refill my mana. It does also do something for your health, but not a ton. They nerf this a ton for health compared to our LODs, so definitely nowhere near where it is. For mana, it's honestly just as effective as an LOD, pretty much. For life, not so much. Life is it's definitely a bit of a life regen somewhat, but not nearly as effective. 1 point is good though. It's a 1 point wonder. I wouldn't worry about it more than that because you can't boost the life granted by it or anything, so don't bother. And yeah, overall, that is how you skill this build. Alright, so next we're going to go over the gear, and I'm kind of going to explain what I have and what are alternative options or improvements to the gear, so you can understand how to min-max this character. Since this is the beginning of the season kind of still, I mean, we're not even a month in, we're just barely over 2 weeks in. I don't have the craziest gear yet, but we're working on it. That being said, though, we do have a 17 Meditation, Eth-Great Poleaxe, Insight. Insight's just amazing for mana regen, just in general. It also does help out the Mercenaries' damage quite a bit with critical strike and whatnot. I would say, though, that if you get enough mana with Shaco or something, you don't need the regen necessarily, and you can rely more on redemption. I don't like using redemption constantly, so I do like kind of having some mana regen just on hand. That being said, though, one thing that could improve this build a bit, especially for hardcore, is to consider a Doom weapon, which is a 5-socketed polearm. You want a 5-socketed ethereal polearm. You want everything ethereal in a mercenary because it doesn't break on the mercenary. It would break on me if I, use ethereal armor or if I charge with an ethereal weapon. Not good stuff. But in general, yeah, so an F Doom would be pretty nice here. It gives Holy Freeze. So when you jump onto monsters, you'll slow down their animations, and they won't... They're already having a hard time hitting me because of my super high defense and my max block, but they'd have an even harder time of hitting me if that was actually the case. So that'd actually be pretty huge there. It's also using this. Now this is not a budget option. Unlike the Insight, which is kind of budget, this isn't budget. I found this with the Teeth Necro. I corrupted it for ED. It rolled max sockets. Yeah, that's pretty crazy, but it's an amazing mercenary helm. Curse duration reduction, DR, res, 3 sockets for attack speed. I mean, honestly, it's almost everything you could possibly want on the mercenary. The curse duration reduction, the hit recovery. The mercenary is just going to have a blast with this. You'll notice that my mercenary didn't really have too many dying problems except against bosses, which, is understandable because of the boss bonus damage against mercs. But this character was having, he wasn't having too many issues. He was able to tank quite a bit because he's got this. You could just use any DR, Life Leech Helm, like Vamp Gaze, Crown of Thieves, Talrosh's Mask, for going down the list to the cheapest item possible. You could also use like other things too, like G-Face for more damage. So there's definitely a lot of possibilities here, but one's pretty good in general. F-upped Duriel Shell. Now, I'm about to get Fortitude on him, which I think is going to be a lot better for this build. And if we can get Cannot Be Frozen somewhere else, maybe on his boots at some point, that would also be ideal. So that he doesn't get frozen, and then he has more damage on the Fortitude. Now, Fortitude is just amazing. It gives the life, it gives this res, but it also will give 200% ED, which with Concentration Aura on my aura, and the Mercenaries, Defiance Aura and everything, getting ED on top of that would be insane. I should also mention that the reason I'm using an Act 2 Mercenary is mostly because of the auras you can get on the polearms, but it's also the fact that he has Defiance Aura, which gives up to 9 DR, 9 damage reduction on PD2. So 9% damage reduction is huge on hardcore. It's the only reason I even have 13 DR. Without it, I'd only have 4. So it's actually, it's saving my ass for sure. Laying of Hands, attack speed, fire res, MF. Can't go wrong there. In general, attack speed, life leech gloves are pretty nice here, or just attack speed damage gloves. DR, life leech, attack speed, MF, all good stats on the belt here. In this case, it's DR, life leech, and ethereal. I got an F string of ears, and I upgraded it, which is kind of neat. And then Goblin Toes. It's actually exclamation drops Rocco. Isn't there an Act 2 Merc who has Meditation Aura? No, there's not. There's an Act 1 Merc that has it, which is a Rogue. You wouldn't want to use a Rogue, though. You wouldn't want to use a Rogue because you can't really get other auras that you can't already replace with this character. So you already have Vigor and whatnot, which you can also get with Act 1. And also, they don't tank very well, and they don't have Defiance Aura, which is pretty huge for hardcore. Good question. Good question, Genius, for sure. Very good question. Alright, so then also we have Goblin Toes, Crushing Blow, ED, MF, PDR, MDR. Very good stats for the Mercenary. Alright, and overall, you can get Deadly Strike, you can get other things as well. So there's a lot of damage, survivability stuff you can have. You can even have Templars if you want to give him even more. If you want to give him even more auras, you can use Templar's Might. So I'm gonna put on Fortitude soon though, but yeah, and I'm gonna consider Doom as well. So there's definitely some things that can make this character safer and stronger. So then we also have 6 bow CTA. Usually you just want CTA on swap on most characters. And a 2 skill shield for, swap, or 3 skills, of course, if you're super rich. Want that extra 15 life. Maybe a little bit of mana as well. Hodo is like, honestly, I consider this like pretty much best in slot on this character. There's like Holy Bolters that have like Hand of Blessed Light and whatnot, but on this character, it gives you everything. You need really high FCR. Like I said, the 125 FCR feels so good. So you're definitely going to want high FCR. It gives you the plus skills this build needs for both Concentration and Blessed Hammer. And it also gives you 30 all res. It gives you more mana. It gives you Dex for max block. It gives you Replenish Life. It's pretty much everything you want. Spirit Sword before this is also pretty solid in general. The budget weapon would definitely be Wizard Spike. Yeah, I mean, Wizard Spike, Spirit Sword, but this is what you're probably going to want to go towards. I wouldn't call this item necessary. You could just reposition with Joust, but keep in mind Joust only has a 3-second cooldown, so you do have a cooldown on it, which means you're not going to be able to move as effectively. You can use Joust and then use Vigor and Charge if you want, but I like having Charge, Vigor, Teleport, and Joust, because if you have 2 types of Teleport, Joust, which requires a target, and Enigma, which doesn't require a target, you can position yourself most effectively depending on the situation to maximize your damage output. And you can also chain your teleports to pump out a couple hammers, teleport again, pump out some more hammers, really increase that surface area. The blink charges got buffed a bit this season, which is one of the reasons why the Hammerdin, besides the fact that it also got a 20% damage increase this season as well. Last season, this build I would have said is trash, but this season's actually looking pretty solid, even without perfect gear, or near perfect gear. We don't even have a torch or an Annie. So you can kind of see, like, this build's solid. Like, you saw what it did. It was super strong. And with Enigma, it really has that mobility. But not only that, it has a MEF, strength, which means you don't have to worry about, wearing any other gear. It has the faster run walk, which is always amazing. And, of course, it has the maximum life from the Jaw rune. It has the PDR from the Burr rune. And it has 2 skills. It's hard to I would say this is for sure best in slot on this character. I don't think there's any other choice really once you get the Jaw and the Burr rune. Steel Shade, I wouldn't say this is quite best in slot. In some situations like running Chaos and Trav, it might be preferred because of the Fire Sword. But I definitely still lean towards Shaco because Shaco has PDR. That's kind of where some of my PDR is lacking. Also, the Shaco has life, and it also has the mana as well. So that mana could also make it easier for me to use Doom. So right now, this is good because I only have 500 mana. But I can imagine that when, maybe we have Shaco, we can consider using Doom a lot easier. It's really good, though, for, like, Drain Life maps, though. I mean, it's really good in general. It still has MF, and it has the block chance, which means that's one of the reasons we only have 123 decks. So, overall, Steel Shade is a solid helmet for this build. You can definitely consider it. I would say it's probably second best, though. I'm not 100% sold that it's better than Shaco. But then again, once again, that Fire Sword is pretty insane against Venom Lords, which do spawn in Ancestral Trial, and it's also pretty insane against Chaos as well. So I like this choice. This is a basic 1-socket corruption, though, with a 2-skill roll. Nothing too crazy. Found that one myself, like some of these other items as well here. Found most of these items. This is definitely not best in slot. I would say Mars or some kind of like crafted FCR, somewhere between 10 and 20 FCR amulet is probably best in slot there. You can definitely get +3 skills on those. You can get +3 skills on another one. I definitely like having 2 to 3 skills, though, not P-comb skills, because all skills also increase your concentration aura, which means 2 all skills beats out 3 P-comb skills, or 3 P-combat skills in almost all scenarios, so keep that in mind. I found this, though. I found a Seraphs and Trav. I corrupted it for block chance once again. All this awesome block chance means not a lot of decks to get max block, so it's definitely doing something. I don't have res on it, though. The rest of these stats are practically useless, though, besides the 2 skills and the chance of blocking, but It's what I have right now. It's working pretty well. Oh, very nice. Very nice, Eldritch. How you doing? Wow, congrats, Reckless. Also just found an ohm off of a clickable. Nice. Now, you can use Haws on this build, but you're going to need FCR corruptions off the out the wazoo. And you're just going to need like some of the craziest gear. You can definitely use Haws. Right now, I can't justify it with like the current like gear that I have. But if you hit 35 FCR on this, as you can see, you can definitely ensure that you'll get to 125 a lot easier. None of my other gear pieces have 5 FCR plus whatever FCR they already have. So getting like 35 or somewhere up there if you have like a minor FCR corruption is pretty huge. Spirit's just solid. Just gives you that skill. FCR gives you the mana, gives you the res. Res got nerfed, but still pretty solid. Yeah, you can go... Yeah, that's what I meant. You can go like... Viper Magi and Haws, but then you don't have that second reposition. Like I said, that feels so good to have that second reposition on this build. It really makes it stand out in maps and chaos. It makes it feel a lot more like that really powerful LOD Hdin. So I don't know if I'd do that, but I mean you could go. There's definitely some freedom. There's always freedom to for preferences and whatnot, but I definitely like would prioritize Enigma, me personally, after playing without and playing with. It's pretty huge. FCR gloves. I need that FCR. Cold res helps, and also got attribute corruption. Nice. Trings are better usually because of the res. Usually don't need that extra regen off the mage fists, and hammers are not a fire skill. Dread band. FCR ring. Quad res. FCR ring. Res, life, strength. I really like this ring because I also got like a life per kill corruption, which makes this... Enigma used to have life per kill on it, which used to make it even more OP for Hammerdins. But having life per kill somewhere else on your build is pretty nice because, well, when you're killing stuff with the hammers, you can refill your life somewhat while you're killing things, and you don't have to use as many potions. So having that, when you got that hammer pool going on, life after each kill is really nice. And Arachnid's Mesh, once again, just FCR skill. It's pretty much a no-brainer, I would say. But if you get the FCR somewhere else, maybe using other types of corruptions, you could also justify putting on Verdungos to get DR or something. You can even justify putting on Storm Shield instead of Spirit. This is a pretty dangerous Hammerdin for hardcore. Once again, help me!
Help
Once again, he only has 13 DR, so... There's definitely ways you can get that DR up, like 20 FCR rings, 30 FCR trings. But yeah, I mean, for now it's pretty good. But there's a reason why we almost died yesterday. I mean, I don't know. He might have still almost died anyway because that situation was just horrible. Jumping into the middle of a spot you can't see, in the middle of like an open tier 3 map, maybe not a good idea. This is one of my like best corruptions of the ladder so far, so this is like pretty much as good as it gets, really. One of the reasons you noticed I'm not wearing Ravenfrost or anything is because I don't have to. I have cannot be frozen on War Travelers. You can be frozen in spells in PD2, so keep that in mind. You need cannot be frozen on all characters, not just like melee characters like in vanilla. So we have a cannot be frozen corrupted War Traps, which is like literally one of the best items in the game you can get cannot be frozen on. So that's amazing. That's amazing. They didn't roll insane. Obviously, they could have like 12 more MF on them, but that's still crazy. Crazy item. Yeah, make sure you put that cannot be frozen. If you need like FCR Ravenfrost, use it. If you're not using like cannot be frozen on your boots, but in general, that MF, that vitality, the cannot be frozen, faster and walk is amazing. And then for charms, it's pretty straightforward. Like with most builds, you get the skiller that corresponds to your build. Hammers, Blessed Hammer gets more damage from combat skillers than Concentration gets from offensive skillers. So get those P-combs for your Hammerdin build, just like in vanilla. Get that Geed's Fortune. I am missing a skiller, but that's partially because I actually do have another skiller, but I'm not going to put it on yet until I get Torch, at least Torch. And then Annie would help as well, because we are having res issues here, with fire res specifically, and with some other types of res. And this is such a crazy charm. Like, it's a great filler charm if you're having res or FHR issues. We're also hitting our FHR frame with it. And then the rest of the charms are just, more FHR, MF, life, light res. Fill in whatever you need. Fill in your resistances. Fill in your MF. Get your life, whatever life you feel comfortable with when you're playing hardcore. We almost have 2.1k life on this character right now. Ideally, I would actually like to have around like maybe 2.3k and possibly at least 5 to 10 more DR if we can actually muster it. Maybe more. So like I said, there's definitely a lot of potential still for build upgrades. That being said, though, you can already clear all of the game's content, as you can see. Even with just level 39 hammers and level 32 concentration and 125 FCR. So he's a beast. He's a beast. And to get that advanced tooltip, press the 8 button, sir. 8 button. There's hotkeys listed here. If you control click the settings on the bottom here, it shows all of these hotkeys for various things like shift clicking, show the player's gear, how to resync. I don't think resync's working this ladder. Yeah, I think they disabled it, which is interesting. It was working last ladder, but yeah, anyway. Yeah, just a lot of cool stuff in general. Also, I was asked earlier why I keep my gems here so that they can pick up an auto stack, so that's a cool thing. Alright, so I think that's the gear. I think I kind of just went over like pretty much like things you can replace. In Softcore, honestly, the gear is pretty much the same, and you're usually going for the same breakpoints, just simply because Hammerdin's so easy to get max block on, still on your FCR, and survivability is also very good when you're jumping into the middle of monsters. Not too many gear differences there. I kind of went over some other things you can definitely have. Like you can have skill rings here. Once you get FCR elsewhere, you can get more plus skills there. You can get more plus skills. The P-Comb, Annie, and Torch. Get more plus skills here, more plus skills here, and possibly more plus skills here if you get your FCR elsewhere. So, like I said, still a lot of room for plus skills, and he can, in testing and beta, is pretty easily able to get to like 9k damage with like really good gear. So let's keep getting up there. Let's keep killing it. I should probably just talk about it real quick because I'm asked about like Bone Necro versus Hammerdin versus Holy Bolt. So let's do Hammerdin versus Holy Bolt because Holy Bolt is the other magic damage build that is literally in the same skill tree as the Hammerdin or the hammers. So the question is like, why go Hammer or Holy Bolt? Holy Bolt is stronger against bosses because it shotguns. However, the raw damage isn't as high. Spread isn't as high either. I mean, you can spread the Holy Bolts, but they'll never do as much damage as hammers simply because the raw damage is lower. It maxes out around like 5k this season. It was around 6k last season. And the hammers can, I'm already at 7.5. You can get like 9.5k. Holy Bolt's also safer. It's good for keeping your mercenary and other teammates alive. And it also does a ton of damage, and it's amazing for clearing LOD content safely and effectively. Charging around, using Joust, and just overall just using Holy Bolts, destroying Trav and other things. But it's not as good in maps because the damage doesn't spread as effectively. You might notice that, like, in order to get that damage higher in Holy Bolt than hammers with the shotgunning, you have to shotgun. And in that case, it's just like Bone Spear. You have to shoot in a line. And I know this because I played this build all of last season, and you have to shoot it in a line, and then you can get the damage higher than hammers, but you're only hitting the monsters in that line, which means in most maps you're not going to get as much DPS on Holy Bolt as you'll ever get in hammers, because I'm creating a pool of hammers where all the monsters are just running into them and dying. It's way faster than Holy Bolt will ever be for mapping, for the most part. That being said, Holy Bolt's better at killing map bosses because it can shotgun. So it's better for killing the single targets, it's better for killing monsters in a line, and it's better for healing and overall party gameplay. So Holy Bolt's got advantages. Hammers are better for just simply the surface area covered, the damage spread, and if you have the tankage to, jump in like I've been doing, like this, you can get way more damage out with this skill for sure. So Both skills are very effective, though. Both skills are effective. I would say this is still close damage-wise, but it's not going to compete with the raw damage of Blessed Hammer. It's not quite up there. The DPS and maps is going to be higher on Blessed Hammer. Then maybe I should compare this skill to Bone. So Bone Spear, for instance, is just a weaker Holy Bolt, honestly. I mean, that's kind of what it is. But as far as Teeth is concerned, Teeth has more of a spread. Has more surface area than Hammers. See, this has the least surface area. This has the most surface area, like damage per square inch kind of thing. And then Teeth has like the most damage per square inch. Now that being said, though, Teeth has less raw damage than Hammers, kind of around where Holy Bolt is, maybe a bit more than Holy Bolt. Holy Bolt pierces, Teeth does not. Hammers also pierce. So Hammers pierce, which is one of the reasons why those hammer pools are so deadly to the monsters. Hammers pierce. Piercing is huge. And Teeth don't pierce. Teeth is the best way to map most of the time. Bone Spirit is great for killing bosses, once again, because you can also do it from afar. I would say Hammers are probably the worst boss killing skill out of all three of these skills. But in terms of like spread, it's amazing. And it also pierces, so that's why, for instance, Blood Moon maps are better on a Hammerdin, whereas for a Teeth Necro, he struggles because the cows are so densely packed that he can't hit them all. He's only hitting the front, he's only hitting the first column, the first Roman row, the first columns there with his teeth. So in terms of like, penetrating those rows, I know chat's gonna give me shit over this. Penetrating through the monsters and getting in deep, getting all those legions, smashing them, going deep with your skill. Hammers are amazing, and so is Holy Bolt. But Holy Bolt only shoots in a line. The line in the area is much weaker than Teeth. So Teeth is really good against enemies that are lower HP, maybe not as densely packed. Higher HP enemies it struggles with because it can't instantly kill them. So it needs more and more waves of Teeth just to eat through those cows. And this skill, you can just get in the middle of the cows and start shredding them. You can shred them all at the same time. So there are maps that are better for this. I go over that in my Bone Necro video, what he's strong at. Like, he's better in Bash and Keep for that reason. I'd also say that's why this character is better at Arcane than the Teeth Necro, because the Teeth is kind of awkward to use with those Invis-Walls in Arcane. And Hammers, you can kind of jump with Joust and Teleport and just keep hammering. You don't have to worry about having only hitting that small little area like you can hit with in Arcane as well. They're still close, though. They're still pretty close in those areas, but after a lot of testing, I would say that's how it works there. I've definitely tested all three of these builds quite a bit now, so I kind of have an idea of like what they're strong at and what they're not as strong at, and what they're maybe strong at but not as strong at compared to some of these other magic damage builds. Teeth is amazing, though. Like, Teeth has amazing spreads, so like Teeth, if you got that perfect size corridor, you have those monsters with lower HP, it shreds them, like, because you don't have to worry about penetrating because you're killing them in one hit anyway, and you can fire them very fast. So Teeth Necro has more plus skills. Even when I did the demo, he had more plus skills, but you could still see like the strengths of Teeth if you watch the video. Like, it's pretty crazy. That being said, though, if you really want to get in the middle, you want to kill those higher HP monsters, you want to kill really densely packed monsters where Teeth has a problem usually because it can't penetrate through all those rows of enemies, all those columns of enemies. Blessed Hammer is your best bet, and there's a lot of maps where it definitely tends to shine, like Blood Moon, and I'd say Arcane a bit more than the Teeth Necro at least, and maps like Ancestral Trial that are insanely wide open. The more wide open, the better. The more the monsters just run into the hammers. It's really good stuff. Teeth in general tends to prefer, that perfect width where the teeth just like shred the monsters wave after wave. So it's not as good when he has to all of a sudden like reposition or back up and then fire the teeth again. Whereas with hammers, he can get right in there. So I've definitely had to do that a lot on the Teeth Necro, like reposition when I'm being surrounded by monsters in an open area. Not always the perfect scenario. So, yeah, there's reasons to play Blessed Hammer, even in the end game. Early game, maybe it's a little clunky without Enigma. I'd say maybe Bone is probably better to start with. Things like Holy Bolt are better to start with. Holy Bolt's really cheap. It's really strong without gear. Once you maybe get a bit more gear, though, Blessed Hammer definitely has some amazing strengths, and it's really fun to play. Getting right up in there, no nonsense, jumping in the monsters and just shredding them. So, GG. Good stuff, guys. Well, guys, I believe that concludes our Hammerdin guide today, if there's no more questions. No more questions from the chat. We did demos of all the LOD areas. He's very strong in Project Diablo 2 in Season 2. Season 2, he got some very nice buffs. As you can see, he's a monster now, and he doesn't have all of his power yet, just imagine. If you watch my stream, of course, you'll get to see him progress, hopefully, as long as we don't kill him, which is definitely possible. But yeah, he's looking good so far, and hopefully we continue to find more brew rooms and gear him up, and it's gonna be a beast. But yeah, lots of magic damage characters are definitely A tier. Just as a reminder from the tier video, I consider for Season 2 Holy Bolt, Hammers, and Bone Necro all to be A tier builds, which means they're viable and they're strong. And they're not as maybe broken as some of those S tier builds, but they are very powerful and they're very fun. So if you like magic damage and you don't want to worry about immunities, remember the strengths of magic damage builds in general, like hammers, are that, you don't have to worry about immunities as much. And they can just kind of start killing monsters without crazy gear like Infinity a lot easier. So yeah, make sure to check out all of those builds, but Hammerdin is a beast. Hammerdin is back in PD2 in Season 2, guys. Remember to like and subscribe the video if you like the video, like what you see, and check out www.twitch.tv/darkhumility. We stream Diablo 2 7 days a week, barring I don't take any vacations or anything like that. And overall, hope you guys have a great day. And continue your love for Diablo 2 and keep having fun in Season 2, PD2, whether you're playing softcore or hardcore. As for me, let's hope we continue to shred hardcore and have a ton of fun doing it. Alright. Dark Humility, over and out. Let's get it.